Hello, and welcome to today's webinar, E-Resource Troubleshooting, a Staff Training Strategy. Thank you for taking the time out to be with us today. This webinar is sponsored by NCLA's Resources and Technical Services section. My name is Kristen Calvert, and I'm the current chair of RTSS. You can find out more about us, view past programming, and join by going to nclaonline.org/RTSS. Before we begin, I have a few housekeeping notes. The webinar is being recorded and will be shared with all participants. All attendees are currently muted when they enter. To minimize bandwidth issues for other attendees, please keep your video turned off. There will be time at the end of today's presentation for Q&A. If you have questions for our presenter, please type them into chat. To access the chat feature during the presentation, move your mouse to the bottom of the screen and select chat. I'd like to welcome today's speaker. Lee Ma is currently the e-resource and serial librarian at Thomas Cooper Library at the University of South Carolina. She has extensive experience in acquisitions, serials, and electronic resource management, as well as in library system implementation. Please take it away, Lee.
Thank you, Christine. Okay. Oh, I got a message. It says you cannot start screen share while the other participant is sharing. Okay. Here we go. Good morning, everyone. How's everybody doing? My name is Lee Ma. I'm the e-resource and serials librarian at the University of South Carolina's Thomas Cooper Library. First of all, I want to thank Christine Fisher and North Carolina Library Association colleagues for providing me this webinar opportunity. And thanks to Christine Calvert and Sarah Mills for the very important technical support. And a big thank you to everyone who is attending today's webinar. My presentation is entitled E-Resource Troubleshooting, a Staff Training Strategy. So this is today's agenda. Basically, I'll talk about why I choose this topic, and I'll give an overview of e-resource troubleshooting, and then I'll talk about staff training needs assessment and staff training strategies. So first, a little bit about our library. Thomas Cooper Library is a main library on University of South Carolina Columbia campus. There are over 35,000 students on campus. Our library is a large research library, and we are a member of ARL. Over 90% of our library material budget is spent on electronic resources. So why do I choose this topic? There's three main reasons. First, troubleshooting e-resource access is a frontline task and directly affects users' experience with library resources. It is often time sensitive and requires immediate attention of staff. Resolving access issues in a timely manner is extremely important for our patrons. Secondly, troubleshooting e-resource access is a complex task and requires a lot of specialized knowledge and skills. It can take a lot of staff time, and strain fundamental departmental workflow support. When access issues are reported, staff performing troubleshooting often have to cease other work to address the access issues, creating stress and interruption of other important work. So the more staff can handle e-resource troubleshooting, the better a department can manage this responsibility. Thirdly, with growing electronic collections and static staffing for e-resource management, our library is undertaking training staff who currently work with current resources to perform e-resource troubleshooting. And on top of all of the above, we just implemented a new library service platform, Alma, you probably know. It went live yesterday, so we are anticipating more than usual volumes of troubleshooting cases. So this webinar is a timely refresher for me as well. Overview of e-resource troubleshooting. We'll look at types of e-resource access issues, who are involved, technologies and tools involved, and creative problem-solving skills. So what types of e-resource access issues do we usually receive? We receive access issue reports mainly from our public service librarians and interlibrary loan staff. Occasionally, I get emails from patients, but that's very rare. Our e-resource staff members also discover access issues during journal renewals and other journal review projects. Many of those issues are unique, and some are really mind-blowing. However, a lot share commonalities. It is hard to categorize each every case, but I roughly put them in 4 major categories, and the rest just goes to other category. So the 4 major categories are authentication, entitlements, metadata of content providers, and linking. Authentication issues. Examples: patrons are asked for a username and a password for a resource that is supposed to be IP authenticated. Faculty members cannot access a resource from his or her office, even though library staff can. So these are examples of IP authentication. Entitlements issues, examples. Patrons hit a paywall while trying to access an article that we are entitled to. We sometimes lose coverage of a title due to publisher changes. Metadata of content provider. Examples. A patient couldn't find a title. After a title goes through a title change, a patient may not be able to retrieve or find an older, an under older title name. Linking issues. Patrons may receive error messages after they click an article link from a discovery service, or a link in the catalog is not working, and many others. So who are involved? It could involve any of the following parties. Publishers, access providers, agents, libraries, and others. Technologies and tools involved. This is just a list. It's not an entire list, but it's just some major technologies and tools involved in the troubleshooting process. Link resolvers, library systems, discovery tools, proxy servers, and pretty much each stage of e-resource lifecycle. And others that sometimes it just totally, we cannot imagine. and problem solving skills. Ultimately, we want to find a solution to the access issues as soon as possible. Problem solving skills are key. Troubleshooters want to be analytical, being bold and creative while trying to identify the cause of issues and finding solutions to them. Okay, now let's switch gear and talk about staff training. Before designing any training sessions, it is always necessary to conduct needs assessments in order to make training effective. These are the 4 areas of needs assessment that I think are important for e-resource access troubleshooting training. First, available staff. Evaluate your department workflow and workload. Identify who could be a candidate to perform troubleshooting. Depending on the size of your staff, you may have different options. If you have multiple staff in your e-resource team, that's great. I think every staff member should be trained. If you have a staff who are not currently in the e-resource area, but still can help out, you definitely want to train them. That is our situation. If you happen to be a one-man shop, you may want to talk to your public service librarian and staff and provide some training to them, especially on those frequent asked questions, so that you do not have to be the only person who handles everything. Skill set. The second area is to look at is staff skill set. Identify gaps between their current skills and knowledge and desired ones. Desired skill set. Communication skills. Troubleshooters would need to reach out to a lot of different parties that we just talked about, including publishers, agents, library staff, like system librarian, cataloging librarian, etc. So good communication skills is required. Collaboration skills. Some access issues are easy fixes, but a lot are not. Sometimes it takes a team to diagnose and solve those issues. So the troubleshooter needs to be proactive and work together with other colleagues inside and outside the library. Organizational skills. How long does it take to solve an access issue? Your guess is as good as mine. Maybe a few minutes, a few hours, a few days, or months. You can very easily lose track of the emails and other communications from different directions. So follow-up skills and organizational skills are extremely important to make sure stay on top of the issue. Problem-solving skills. We talked about it earlier. So be analytical, creative, and persistent. And last, e-resource management skills. That is a huge set of skills. In order to successfully tackle a variety of e-resource access issues, troubleshooters need good understanding of e-resource lifecycle and management tools. The third area you want to look at is priorities. It takes time to learn and digest all the knowledge and skills required to troubleshoot e-resource access issues. It is not realistic to expect staff to know everything about troubleshooting after a few training sessions. So we need to set priorities for our trainings, not trying to dump everything at once. So what are our training priorities? So these are some examples. Trainings on urgent access issues. For example, an instructor loses access to a resource in the middle of a class session, or there is a site-wide access problem with certain publisher. We want to provide training to staff on how to approach those issues in a very timely manner. Most frequent access issues. Get familiar with the most frequent access issues can make troubleshooting more efficient. And ask your staff for their priorities. Are there any specific topics they want you to cover? It could be very effective if they find the topics are directly, related to what they want to hear about. And last, training resources. Local resources. Do you already have FAQs, glossaries, or step-by-step guide? Do you need to create more? And free resources. Do you find free, can you find free training resources from vendors and other sources so you do not have to reinvent the wheels every time? Okay, now let's talk about staff training strategies. After conducting needs assessment, what training strategies can we apply so staff can make the most out of the training? These are some strategies that I found helpful during our staff training. First, multi-level training. Given the complexity of e-resource troubleshooting, I think we need to design multiple level training sessions, basic, intermediate, advanced, based on an individual's skills and capabilities. Staff member, they can start from different levels. We may also want to offer special topic sessions to focus on specific area of troubleshooting, such as link resolver issues. Training format. Be flexible with training formats. Depending on your audience, it can be conducted, as a traditional group training or one-on-one training or both. Training methods. You may also want to utilize multiple training methods depending on your audience and specific training goals. Traditional lecture. If you want to talk about e-resource lifecycle to a group of staff, a lecture might be the best choice. Project-based learning. How to quickly digest what you have learned from a training session. I think doing a project is very effective. Start from a small project and be patient, be available for any questions your staff may have. Group discussions. Group discussions are highly effective. They open up your minds, help with recognizing access issue patterns, and very importantly, they make learning less distressful. Last, refresher training. Troubleshooting training is not a one-time shot. It needs to be ongoing. Refresher trainings are needed to reinforce prior knowledge. It can be done through a variety of ways, such as regular meetings, attending webinars to refresh and stay current with new technology and skills. And as we train staff and receive training ourselves, we also want to review and update our training resource periodically. So in summary, e-resource troubleshooting is a frontline task. It is a complex task, and it requires a lot of training. So this is the end of my presentation. I hope you find it helpful. Thank you. And I think I can answer any questions you have.
Thank you, Lee. If anyone has questions, please type them into the chat box now. There was one from very early in the presentation that asked, what all are you including in your e-resources, subscriptions, or in-house, or both?
Our e-resource for the troubleshooting purpose are our subscription-based e-resources, including e-journals, e-books. Yeah, it's pretty much all the electronic format resources. Okay, let me see.
Question is, will slides be available later for attendees? Yes, I will send out slides and a link to the recording as soon as we're able to host it somewhere. Another question is, do you have any tips for troubleshooting in Alma?
It technically started today. we went live yesterday. And so that's my next big project. Well, I mean, my task, my responsibility. I will gather the tips starting from now.
Okay, and there was another question. Do you have any training handouts or worksheets?
That's a work in process. Because this new Alma, we've been spending past 2 years really focused on that. So a lot of our training will have will have to be redesigned. So that is a work in process.
And what sort of projects for troubleshooting do you give beginners?
For example, I think to get, first you want them to get a good understanding for, serials, record reading, and to understand the pretty much goes through the life cycle of a serials title. In our library, we have a lot of package titles and a lot of troubleshooting cases are related to those kind of titles. So I have been, for beginner training, I have assigned them, just to look at a small package, maybe 10 titles, and go through each one, see if it's working. So that's give a good understanding when issue comes in. You'll sort of have an overall understanding, where to start. Is it a package? Is it a standalone title? Is a package title? Because those are have different strategies, different to tackle those issues. So like small a small package like that. I think that's very helpful. I think staff also, they find helpful as well.
I don't see any more questions coming in. So again, I'd like to thank Lima for coming and presenting for us today. And I want to thank all of our attendees for joining us. We should be following up within a week with the slides and a copy of the recording. Oh, one more question. Do you have a tutorial for eResources 101 and 201?
Again, we have, here and there some task-based, specific task-based handout, but we decided, before we started the ALMA implementation, which lasted 2 years, we want to, as we go, as we get into this new system, we want to have a total new set of documents. So it's a work in process. Okay.
Great. Thank you, everyone. On behalf of Resources and Technical Services section, we'd like to thank you for attending today. I hope everyone has a good afternoon and a good week.
Thank you very much. Thanks, everyone.